We're here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, New York, checking up with our friends from the Brooklyn Winery. We help their customers who come here to celebrate their harvest season, which is coming up at the end of this month. They're going to be making their own wine. They also have a wine bar. We help them with their storage solutions, so let's check them out inside.
So what are we tasting here?
We actually have a barrel sample from our 2010 Susi Vineyard Old Vine Zinfandel. Right now it's been aging in American oak, neutral, with about 30% new oak since early November last year. Right now it's tasting beautifully. I think you guys picked that up from your sample. But yeah, we're about to bottle probably late this fall. We're going to be serving it in our wine bar as well as bottling for purchase for our customers. And we also actually have some client winemakers that have a few barrels of Zin back there as well. So,
and how much total do you think we made of the Zin?
We probably made about 6 barrels. So really, it sounds like if you're talking about how many cases per barrel, because that's ultimately, when you look at barrels, you say how much wine is in there. To kind of put it in very practical terms, these are big barrels. Your standard barrel size actually has about 24 cases of wine, which is essentially 288 bottles. So it's a small batch. You know, from winemaking standards, it's a small batch. This year, 2011, we had such good luck with this particular vineyard and this Zin. Connor, our winemaker, is actually, we're going to do 7 tons of Zin, which is essentially 14 barrels next year. So we're very excited about this particular wine.
If somebody's out of state, you know, obviously from our website, if somebody's going from Texas or whatever, what's the best way to get a chance to buy some of the Brooklyn wineries?
Well, because we're not nationally distributed, and that's partly, number one, we're new. Number two, because we're just getting started with this last vintage, we're just getting ramped up with production. We don't have the inventory to actually feed a wholesale program, and that's been kind of lucky and fortunate for us because it keeps us focused on the winemaking. But for somebody that's out of state, Texas, maybe even California, who knows? They would contact us on their website at www.bkwinery.com.
We'll link that up.
Yeah, and they can ask, and we can see how we can get that shipped out to you, because we certainly want to make sure that everybody that's interested in tasting our wine has a chance to try what Connor is doing here, which is very special, has an opportunity to do that.
Cool. What about, I know you have limited kitchen facilities here. Do you do tastings, pairings, where maybe you bring food in, and how often do you do those?
Well, you know, our whole menu is designed around wine. We are not a restaurant. I was telling you guys earlier, we're not a functioning restaurant. We're a wine bar. So basically the focus here is truly on the wine. The food is certainly a complement to that, but it's not the showpiece. What we try and do is we create, you know, authentic food pairings for the different wines that we're offering. So certainly with the wines we're making here, our chef will develop food pairings for our wines, but also for some of the other wines that we're serving as well. So if you're doing a flight of, let's say, South African wines, we will do from time to time specials where we're pairing specific food items with wines, so that you really get a chance to see how well those wines mingle and mix with different types of food.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, in getting into the storage aspect of this, why do you think it's important to, you know, to have a climate control?
Well, from a functional standpoint, if you've ever had to move barrels in and out of a facility like this, you like air conditioning because it makes it a lot easier. But for the purpose of wine, you know, wine really needs a stable, cool environment, as you guys well know, what you do. From the very beginning, which is really interesting because you deal with wine after it's been bottled and you're trying to find the perfect environment for it in people's homes and in restaurants and wine bars. You know, we do the same thing from the very beginning in a temperature-controlled, humidity-controlled barrel room. So even before those wines are even close to being bottled, they need to be stored at a certain temperature. Right now in there, it's about 62 degrees, which is a great temp for us, and about 85% humidity. But that's perfect for barrel storage for wine. When it gets to somebody's home and it's in bottle, it may require a slightly different temperature and humidity setting, which you guys...
Yeah, that's always going to depend on, you're going to have certain customers that are going to make wine to be drank early.
Right.
And you're going to have some wines that are going to be put away. Same thing, no different than how we build cellars. So there's going to be some people that are going to be turning their wines over very quickly. They don't even get a cooling system. They're building in wine racks or refrigerated systems.
Exactly. This system allows the client, the winemaking customer, if their wine is designed to be drunk young and early, then as soon as we get it bottled for them, they can begin enjoying that wine. But for other clients, this is extremely important for the first phase of storage, and then laying the groundwork for later storage for their wine in their homes or in a restaurant or a wine cellar, whatever they've created, because they want to hang on to that wine. They want to make sure that the integrity of that wine is in place so that it can age properly and bottle in their homes.
That's fantastic.
How about wine storage for wine that your customers have made and bottled? Similar to what Joseph and Curtis do, where they can come in and their wine is in a rack, they come in, they can enjoy it.
That's a great question, and that's actually a logistics issue that our clients face, because once we bottle the wine, we don't actually, as you can see, we're an urban winery, we don't have unlimited storage space so that people can come and grab their wine a week later, a month later, 2 years later. We actually ask our clients to move their wine as soon as reasonably possible. Obviously, many of our clients are right here in the city, so they have limited storage space. So we make arrangements for them for off-site temperature and humidity controlled storage. But they have a great need, because when you make a barrel of wine, you end up with a product with 24 cases of wine. Maybe not all of it's going to your home or my home. Some of it could be coming, but usually you're talking about multiple cases that are going to somebody's home at some point. They really have that need at that point, which is, oh my gosh, I've made all this great wine, now where am I going to put it? And that is a question we get on a regular basis. And so, the ability for us to be able to not only have that transition for temporary storage so that they can access their wine, but once they get it home, what are they going to do about that? That's a question that, quite frankly, we're not well suited to answer. That's not our specialty. Our specialty is making and bottling wine, and that's where you guys come into the picture, because it is a question we get from all of our clients that don't have already established cellars in their homes. They need to figure out, where am I going to put this wine?
Sure. Yeah, it always surprises us how people underestimate how quickly their collection is going to grow. I mean, we'll go into a house and they'll say 1,000 bottles is enough, and a year later they're calling us asking if there's a way to get more racks in there.
Right.
So it's really an evolving thing, and people, once they start getting enthusiastic about it, I'm sure you see that when people come in and start with half a barrel and then they're making
multiple barrels. I myself started with 1 barrel, and I need to talk to you guys because I've got some wine coming my way in the next 6 to 8 months. But I got the bug so badly about making wine because I enjoyed it so much that the group that I'm with, we went from 1 barrel in 2010. We're doing 3 barrels this year. It's a lot more wine for the same group that was doing just 1 barrel a year ago. So, the issue not only for myself but other members of my group is, okay, where am I going to put all this wine? And that's a great problem to have, I think. But at the same time, it's a very serious issue, because if you're making a high quality wine, you want to make sure that you're putting it in a place where the integrity of that wine is preserved for the age that it's designed to be aged for. If it's a young wine,
Drinking it at its peak.
right. You want to be able to capture it at its peak. There's nothing worse than saying, boy, this wine should be peaking right now, and you crack open the bottle, and it's been gone for a year, but you didn't know.
Right.
And it's because it wasn't stored properly.
As somebody comes in, what would you say the average price per bottle to begin? What are they looking at?
That's the beauty, I think, of our process, is that at the barrel level, our prices start at about $20 per bottle. And then
it's very reasonable.
Yeah, for the quality of wine that you're getting, and I can address what that means in a retail scenario. And the higher end wines are right around $30 per bottle. Now, when you talk about $20 and $30, immediately people associate a retail value to that wine, saying, "Oh, a $20 bottle is this quality," or a $30 bottle, $30 cab from Napa is this relative quality. Because of the way that this system is set up, basically people are getting, let's say, a $30 cab with us, a Napa Oak Knoll District cab, that would be priced based on our process, the fruit that we're using, and everything that we're doing. That's probably a $50 cab in a wine shop. So really there's a great value. It's not about necessarily just about the value proposition, it's more about what they're able to participate in that brings them closer to the wine that they enjoy.
An education component to
all the processes.
From start to finish, they are involved in every aspect of it, so that when they open that bottle with friends or family, that there's a story to it. Every wine, I don't care where you get your wine, your favorite wine shop, if you've been to a tasting room in Napa or in France, every wine has a story. But most of us are not privy to that story because we get it on the tail end, we get it in bottle. This is a way for people to get closer to that story about that wine from start to finish. And that's what's really special about making your own wine. Nobody's going to suggest to you coming in off the street that you're going to be the next Robert Mondavi, or you're going to make the next Opus One, or you're going to have the next Screaming Eagle Cab. Not to say you can't do that, but it allows you to get into that game, so to speak, and to be able to experience what all these great winemakers do to create great wine, and you have the opportunity to do that as well, and end up with a really great bottle of wine at the end of it, which is certainly part of the objective.
A lot of fun. Talk a lot about harvesting and so forth. One of the things that attracted us working with you guys was that it's as real as it gets here. This is Brooklyn. It's built like Brooklyn. The inside tasting room and wine bar is family style. You come in and sit down. It's not pretentious. It's very located and very neighborhoodish.
Right. So when people start the process, they have the opportunity to plan what their wine is going to be like in bottle through our planning process. But also they get a chance to participate at key points in the process. From harvest, we notify our clients when their grapes are being harvested. They have an opportunity to come in, be here when their grapes arrive, help sort them, crush them, press the grapes into barrel, and really be a part of every aspect physically of that process. And once the wines go into barrel and begin fermentation on the whites, as well as the reds going into barrel to age before that secondary or malolactic fermentation, we have opportunities for these folks to come in and try their wine at different key points. They can really track that progress of the wine along the way. And then certainly, believe it or not, as great as the winemaking process is, the labeling and being able to label and customize your own label is a really popular part of the winemaking program. People love to personalize their wine, and that's a really neat part of the process.
Is Brooklyn Winery ever going to go to Screw Tops?
Next question. You know what? I mean, here's the reality. There's a lot of discussion in the industry about screw tops. I think you certainly see a lot more wine in screw top today than you did 2 years ago.
A lot of Australian wines. When you go to Australian wines in a liquor store, and they're almost...
I think that there are so many different opinions about that. I would say this about screw tops. I have no problem purchasing wines that are designed to be drunk young in a screw top. A lot of Sauvignon Blancs, a lot of reds that are designed to be drunk young. I have no problem with it, because if it's a 2009 or 2010, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. That's my opinion. Somebody could disagree with that, but it doesn't really matter. When you get into wines that are designed to be aged, that's where the debate really takes on a different color, because of the natural cork and what it does from an oxidization standpoint on wines, whether it tempers the oxidization to allow the wine to age properly in bottle. If you use a screw top or something that cuts off that process, is it going to inhibit the development of the wine in bottle? Again, there are people far smarter than me that have debated this issue back